One of the things I love about coaching, and I had never really experienced the coaching aspect until maybe the last couple years, is how much it actually helps you grow your business, kind of grow your mindset, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. The
So,
big thing with the coaching, at least in my experience, yeah, just finding someone that resonates with you. But when you find someone that resonates with you and gives you the right advice, but also in the way that you need to hear it, that it connects with to you, like, I mean, that's there. You can't put a price on that. It's like worth everything.
Alika, I could not agree more. It's how you receive the information. And I think it goes back to knowing yourself and how you best receive information. Because if I hear something from someone and you hear something from the same person, it might just hit differently and we might not get the same out of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Join me, Jeremy Swick, on Into the Unknown, a podcast that delves into the personal journeys, stories, and experiences of individuals across diverse professions. As a historian by trade, I firmly believe that our personal histories shape our present and offer valuable insights into our paths ahead. With that being said, let's get into it. On this episode of Into the Unknown, I am joined with a very special guest, Alika McGuire. How are you doing today, man?
I'm doing well, Simo. How you doing?
Man, I can't complain. It's a great day out. We're up and at it, and I'm just excited to talk with you.
Yeah.
So, I always like to kick off the show and talk about the importance of networking. How are we actually connected, man?
So we are connected through some coaching groups that we are both in. We met each other, I believe it was March. Was it March where we met each other in Dallas with everybody?
Yeah, I think March was the time to. That was my first conference down there with them, and it was
Yeah.
just great. One of
Absolutely.
one of the things I love about coaching, and I had never really experienced the coaching aspect until maybe the last couple years, is how much it actually helps you grow your business, kind of grow your mindset, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. The
So,
big thing with the coaching, at least in my experience, yeah, just finding someone that resonates with you. But when you find someone that resonates with you and gives you the right advice, but also in the way that you need to hear it, that it connects with to you, like, I mean, that's there. You can't put a price on that. It's like worth everything.
Alika, I could not agree more. It's how you receive the information. And I think it goes back to knowing yourself and how you best receive information. Because if I hear something from someone and you hear something from the same person, it might just hit differently and we might not get the same out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like that teenager. It's like teenager syndrome, right?
It
Your
really
parents
is.
tell you something, you don't hear it, and then you hear the exact same thing from, someone at school, and then it's just like, oh, that makes sense. You go home and your parents are like, what the hell have I been telling you this whole time?
It's so true, though, man. It's so true.
Yeah.
And one of the things I do love about coaching is, for me at least, I want to make sure I'm not agreeing with everything they say. I like to have a
Mhm.
good balance of understanding it and maybe seeing it a little differently because then sometimes I feel like you fall into just following exactly what they're doing and not really thinking
Yeah.
for yourself. So I always like to have that good balance and, you know, compare sometimes.
Yeah. That's another thing. I have a lot of experience with coaching, different types of coaching in the past. And I remember when I first started with my first one of my first coaches, I was just like, I'm just gonna do what you do the way you did it because that's how I get what you have. And it just doesn't quite work because the way that he did things and the way that he taught it and the way that I received it, it wasn't going to work out. So, and it took me way too long to figure that out.
It's one of those things. I think it's so important to be authentic to who you are. And of course, a coach has great ideas, but I think it also adds another level when you put your own spin on things.
hmm Yeah, absolutely. You have to do things your way and you have to put your own little spin on it.
So I want to know, man, think comic book issue number one, origin story. Who are you, man? Where are you from?
Oh, okay. So my origin story, I was born and raised on the island of Hawaii. Gosh, I lived there. I went to high school there. I lived there till I was 18. Um, I really, really, really love volleyball. So when I graduated from high school, one of my biggest goals, my biggest driving goal was to play collegiate volleyball. That wasn't quite in the cards. that's a whole nother, I mean, you know, dad, I was very sheltered growing up. So dad didn't like the idea of me going and leaving. He thought it was going to be too expensive. Um, so dad and being dad was like, I don't think you're good enough and blah, whatever. That's a whole nother, that could be the healing podcast when we, when we talk about that. Um, I did my first year of college in the University of Hawaii at Hilo and found a program that allowed me to do an exchange at another school somewhere else. So put a few names in a hat, and out of it came the University of Northern Colorado in Greeley, Colorado. So that's where I went to do my undergrad. Somewhere along the way, I got an internship with a chiropractor. Actually, Facebook Memories reminded me that today was the day I announced on Facebook that I got the internship. So um, during that internship, I was very excited. I got very excited about chiropractic and decided that that's what I wanted to be. So applied to a bunch of chiropractic schools. Um, got into the Logan University in Chesterfield, Missouri, and I have been in St. Louis ever since I met my partner. I've been in practice for 5 years, and my current office that I'm in has finally just got to 2 years last month.
Well, congratulations on that, man. That's all, really exciting to start to kind of really see the fruits of your labor.
Yeah, absolutely.
I got to ask, what drew you to volleyball growing up? Was it just a sport everyone played, or like what got you into it enough to either desire to go to college and play it or at least continue playing it?
Well, my family is a big basketball family. My older brother plays both of my older brothers play basketball. My dad played basketball. Aunt played. Everybody plays basketball, and I hate playing basketball. I hated it. I hated it so much because dad was mean. Like, you know, 7 years old, we're at the park doing layup drills for hours. We're shooting, we're running sprints, and I don't want to do that. Um, so I didn't like it at all. So so I thought maybe I'll try something different. I always liked playing volleyball, just kind of bumping the ball quietly and just nicely back and forth with my friends in elementary school. Um, when I got into middle school, there was always a net set up in the play courts. So I was like, let me go. I wanted to swing every single day. Um, and then just really fell in love with the sport because it was just something that I didn't think my dad could, tell me what to do as much, but also something I could enjoy with my friends. I was very wrong. My dad still told me what to do because found out later he had played volleyball for a bit in high school. So he took it upon himself to do the same thing. But it was different this time because I actually really, really enjoyed volleyball.
Of course, of course. So you look at that program to kind of study abroad while it's not out of the country. It might as
Mhm.
well have been when you're in Hawaii, going to the stateside. What made you want to leave the area you kind of grew up in?
Gosh, it was a number of things. I was very, very bitter um, that I turned down quite a bit of scholarship money. I had been given a lot of scholarship money, and I had to turn it all down because Dad said I couldn't. I also graduated early. I was 17 years old when I graduated from high school. So I couldn't, even if I wanted to as an adult, try to, leave and do things, it just wasn't going to happen because there was no signature off of dad. Obviously I didn't have any money for myself to even make the flight out to these places where I had scholarships towards. So I was very, very bitter about that. I also graduated. It was very in 2009 from high school, so it was kind of difficult. Like I couldn't even get a job, like working the drive-through at McDonald's. Like nobody was hiring during that recession, so I couldn't even find a part-time job. So um, that coupled with a lot of just like bitterness and angriness, I just wanted to get out, and literally anywhere would have been fine. So when I found out that there was this, when I found out about the exchange program, I mean, I signed up immediately for it. I scrounged up whatever money I could find from coaching volleyball. Um, and I did all of this like secretly. I didn't tell my parents about any of this until I got accepted and everything was set in stone. And I go up to mom and I said, "Hey, mom, I'm going to go to Colorado to college. I signed up for this program. I got accepted, so I'm going to go." She goes, "How are you going to get there?" I'm like, "I would like for you to buy me the ticket." So, like, I figured out the living situation. I figured out what I was going to eat. When it came down to it, all I needed was even paying for it. I figured out the paying for the school part. When it came down to it, all I needed was a ticket. So, yeah, don't ask questions. I stopped. That's when I stopped asking questions to everybody. I just started doing things, and then realized then that if I don't ask anyone questions, then you can't tell me no.
That's a very insightful thing. I think I've slowly learned over time too, and it's not per se like against people or anything like that. It's just like if I'm trying to accomplish an objective, especially when it is your family or friends, and especially if they've never done anything like that before, their background is just not there, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. At the end of it, I had to just go. I was frustrated living with my parents. Right, dad's complaining at me all the time because I don't have a job, can't find a job. Um, um, I here I am. I'm this very skilled volleyball player. I've got a lot of energy for it. I got still wanting to play a lot. Even today at 32 years old, I still want to. I still continue to play. Um, just all that frustration. I really, really, really just had to get out. And the other thing I want to mention, right? Because I hear it all the time, like, "Oh, why would you leave Hawaii?" Like, I don't know. Why else would you want to leave a rock that's centered literally in the middle of nowhere, right? There's a lot of things that there's a lot of things that I've gotten to experience that I never would have experienced or even thought to experience if I had stayed.
Alika, I love that you mentioned thought to experience. I think so much of our human experience is not even knowing what we don't know. So it's we can't even experience, especially if you stay in the same place you grew up in. You really don't know the difference of what else is out there, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you get to Colorado. What was your like first day that you actually get there? What was that experience like?
Yeah, you're gonna laugh because this is so. For those of you who are not watching and only listening, I am Hawaiian Filipino. I'm also German and Irish, so I'm very, very, very mixed. I've got brown skin, I've got long hair, I've got tattoos all over my arm. So um, take that into consideration when the majority of people look somewhat like me. Brown skin, racially ambiguous, at least in Hawaii. I look very much like the majority of people there. Um, and I get off the plane in Colorado, Denver, Colorado, and I think to myself, I have never seen so many white people in one room in my life. Like, I, for the first time in my life, I was, one brown guy in a sea of white people, and it was very, very interesting to me.
Yeah.
Um, of course, I call everybody, call mom, call dad, tell them I landed safe, everything's fine. Call my brother. And I'm outside of Denver Airport, and I'm looking out into the distance. And you can see a beautiful mountain range. It's August of 2015. No, 2010. It's August of 2010, and um, my brother's on the phone and he's asking me, "Is it snowing?" Which, you know, for someone from Hawaii in August, right? Or just, you think you go to Colorado where you think it's all mountains, like, there you go. It's like, it's a valid question. Um, Greeley was about 2 hours north of, no, an hour and a half north of Denver. So got on the shuttle, started driving, got to see the mountain range, and then for the very first time saw a train, an actual train passing by. I'm 18 years old. I saw a train for the very first time. 18 years old, seeing a plane of corn being grown. Um, had these about two or three just very, very sweet old ladies in the car too. And we just talked and I was like, yep, first time I've ever seen a train. That's cool. I took a picture of that and then and then just kept on riding. So got to Greeley. And I mean, first time it was it was what they considered a small campus compared to other college campuses. But I'm thinking, holy shit, this place is
Yeah.
giant. So yeah.
So, you do that when. So I assume the program was only a year. Did you extend your stay, or how did that end up happening?
Yeah. So I started out as I started out, it was supposed to be a semester actually. That's what I signed up for because I wanted to get back when I was in Hawaii. I was coaching the wrestling team at the high school and I was coaching the volleyball team. So I thought to myself that I would want to go back. I got there and I was there maybe 2 days. I was looking for the person that helped me with the transition in Colorado. I was like, how do I extend this to a year? I was there for like 2 days and wanted to stay the rest of the year. So I loved it so much, and I was like, there's no way I'm going to see everything I'd want to see in 4 months. So
Yes.
let's extend it. Um, After the year was up, um, I was given the option to officially transfer. And I thought long and hard about it because I was like, okay, I could just do this for a year. And then I was talking about it with my roommates. And then I was just reminded that, like, I feel like I can do things. I feel like I'm free and I can do what I want now. And there was just no way I was going to be able to do that by moving back in with my parents. So, um, yeah, I called dad. I was like, hey, can I, they're going to kick me out of the dorms this summer when school ends. Um, I found a place. I put down the deposit for it. So there's a month break in between that I won't have any place to live. And I called dad and I was like, hey dad, can I just come home for like a month? And he's like, if you come home, it's going to be a one-way ticket. And I said, okay, never mind. Hung up the phone and then I figured it out. That was the other thing. I just figured things out, no matter what. So for a month I was bumming it on friends' couches and, in their families' homes until got myself a job and managed to just figure things out.
Yeah. Just kept making the next best decision you could, right?
hmm
So you get down to Colorado. What ended up happening after that?
Um, Gosh, I mean, slowly started to just meet new people. Um, for those of you who don't know, like Alika is a nickname. It's a name that I had. It means Alex in Hawaiian. My actual name is Alexander. So when I went to Colorado, I think in like the first 3 or 4 days, I met like four more people that were named Alex. So I was like, let me just go by my Hawaiian name, which they called me when we were learning how to speak Hawaiian in school. So I told everyone to start calling me Alika. That was the first thing because I realized that Alex is a very, very white name. So, um, let's see. Started slowly making friends and started to meet some other volleyball people around. This was my first time playing volleyball in Hawaii. Was kind of funny because I'm just playing with some friends, like just people that I just met. They're not very good, so whatever. And then I see someone sneaking past into an auxiliary gym at the rec center, and I'm like, I noticed the pair of shoes. I just noticed. I'm like, he looks like a volleyball player. So I peek my head through the door, and I'm like, and I see folks playing volleyball. They're tall. They look like they're good. So I left. I just ditched my friends, and um, I ditched them, and then I just ended up started playing with them. Um, and then that's how I started making friends and all of that stuff. Um, During the time in Colorado, I started also coming into my own like sexuality. Right, I'm gay. And I started to realize that I started to get a lot more comfortable with that. Um, Again, something I would never have been able to do had I lived on such a small island in the middle of the ocean where my family knows everybody, it seems like.
Oh, no, that makes a lot of sense as you just kind of have that experience of being on your own and truly kind of being on your own, miles and miles and miles away from, your family, and
Mhm.
you're able to kind of develop your own identity, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime I hear someone asking like, "Oh, should I leave? Should I go do something?" Yes. Like, pack your shit, get up, go. Who who cares where, right? So long as you're smart enough and you got the common sense to know that you can find a job and that you're going to be able to take care of yourself, right? If you can do that and, have some type of common sense so that you're at least at minimum safe, fed, and housed, you'll be okay.
100% leak. I love that you mentioned that. I always tell people you can go experience, take that job, move to that city, move to that state, because worst comes to worst and it doesn't turn out the way you envisioned it, you can always come home, or maybe you do eventually
Hmm.
move back home. I realized that I've lived in about 7, 8 cities in 4 states, and I was down in Georgia for a number of years, and I was just kind of ready to come back to Wisconsin, come back home. But I am so thankful
Hmm.
for all those experiences along the way that kind of helped me
Yeah,
navigate who I am today.
yeah. And I have to mention, like, I'm very fortunate that no matter how difficult growing up in Hawaii was, or how difficult how kind of the problems that I had growing up. No matter what, I always knew that I had family members that loved me dearly, and that even if I were to come out and everyone followed what they were going to do, like disown me and shit like that. Like, even with all of that, I knew I could fall back on somebody. I had people in my family that loved me very dearly. So I knew that I always was confident that even if this doesn't work, I can always go back home. And some people don't have that. So, um, but still, it doesn't mean don't figure it out and don't get out there and be scared. Like, get up and fucking do it.
100%. And I tell people that you're gonna have that feeling. I compare it to being on a roller coaster right before you go to that drop. You feel it in the pit of your
Hmm.
stomach. It's a little terrifying, but I tell people the more you do it, the less scary that gets.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you're pissed off enough, like, I think I was a pretty angry person as I was leaving Hawaii. Um, if you're pissed off enough, it's very easy to make that decision. Like, I when I got, I think that I was the thing that had me the most upset when I left Hawaii for the first time was that was the first time I saw my nephew walk, was at the airport as I'm ready to leave. Um, so I got to, I got really sad that I got to miss a lot of key big milestones for my nephew. Um, right. I miss the ocean and I do miss my family. But like that first time I left, I hugged everybody. I probably cried for like 2 seconds. I got through security and I was like, aloha, see you guys later. Okay, bye. And I was probably sprinting. I was probably close to running to that gate because I was so excited to get out and finally do something for myself.
I love that. So make a decision in life. You can go east, you can go west. And I think I already know, but can you give me a time where you made a decision and just went for it?
Oh, that was chiropractic school, actually. I mean, most of my decisions, I feel like I just shoot from the hip. But chiropractic school was probably just the big one. Um, I, the way that story goes, it's a funny story. Um, but um, I wanted to be a sports psychologist. I got really excited with the psychology of the athlete and all of that. But as I went through um, college, I realized that the academic psychology, research, teaching route was just not something that excited me. So for a good, you know, year or so in college, I just did not know what I was going to do. Take into the consideration as well that I was a very sheltered kid with strict parents that didn't let me do a lot. So I enjoyed college very thoroughly. I did everything that I could, to the expense of my grade point average. um, so when it came down to the starting an internship, I was kind of SOL. The school sponsored internships were taken, and so I'm like, I had to create my own internship opportunities. So I went to a few different offices. I tried one at the rec center that I was working at, thinking I could get something paid. Someone that didn't quite work out. Someone at uh, the rec center I worked at was like, why don't you try these chiropractors? And then gave me names of two chiropractors. And I Googled them. I was like, cool, they both work in the same office. So let's email them both. Um, it was Dr. Eric Sorbo and Dr. Ryan Maeda in Greeley, Colorado. So they were there. Um, Googled both of them, saw that Dr. Ryan Maeda was Japanese, and I'm like, I'm gonna play the Asian card, right? I'm probably the only other Asian guy here that he get to hang out with. So let's do this. So um, I emailed him every week, twice a week, and he never did get back to me. Until one day he did get back to me and was like, hey, yeah, I'd be interested and blah, blah, blah. So cool. Then I said, when do I start? And I emailed him every 2 or 3 days for a few weeks, and he didn't get back to me. And I'm like, fuck this. You can't tell me that I'm going to be your intern and then not get back to me, not tell me a start date. So I scheduled an appointment. I had some knee pain from volleyball. I was like, I'm going to schedule an appointment. So he looks at my knee. He's talking, we're talking right before he leaves. I'm like, hey, when do I start? So he's like, yeah, I just start when school comes up, blah, blah, blah. So I let him know what that is. I asked him to confirm if that's okay. Never got back to me. So I said, fuck it. First day of school, showed up 7 a.m. in his office because I knew what his hours were at least. And I said, he's not even there yet. The front desk is like, who are you? And I'm like, I'm Dr. Ryan's intern. And then she's like, okay, just hang out here. He's not here yet. So he rolls up. And I'm like, hey, doc, I'm here for my first day. I remember that very well. It's because it was such a good experience that first day with him. He had a bunch of patients. He saw many people. They were all smiling. And I was like, this looks like it's fun. And then he started teaching me about chiropractic, and he started showing me things, and I got to experience it for myself. And I would just at some point was like, I don't know what else I'm going to do. Immediately started applying for chiropractic schools. Like I didn't even think about it. I was like, there's just like nothing else I'm going to do. Let's go. Where do we want to go? St. Louis. Okay, cool. I had an aunt that lives there. Marietta, Georgia. They got Life University there. New Zealand, like I can live out my Lord of the Rings fantasy and at the New Zealand College of Chiropractic. Let's try that. And just like pulling names out of a hat in to get to Colorado, ended up at Logan University, and I said, let's go.
That's amazing, man. Title of the podcast, Into the Unknown. What are you working on now? What do you got going on? You said you just celebrated 2 years, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so 2 years. I'm looking forward to hopefully within the next 2 years be expanding my office, but these last 5 years in practice have been so difficult. I mean, what with the pandemic and getting started for the very first time, I had some business dealings that didn't quite go well. I lost some money there early on in practice. Um, I'm finally excited to just be able to be home and be present. I can take the time out for these days. I can have periods of time where I'm not thinking about work. And I'm really excited about that because I get to be present with my family. I get to be present at home. and take some real time off. But as far as what's coming up, there's always something going on in the office to help it grow. Donation drives. I want to really get back to the community. Part of that is starting what I mean, I spoke about it with you earlier, like what could become a local St. Louis podcast where I highlight business owners that are out there serving the community. So I have a Instagram live show that shoots every 2 weeks on Instagram, and I just interview a business owner, or I just interview someone that I find interesting that's here in St. Louis, or it doesn't have to be St. Louis, but that's something I'm starting to really look forward to doing, because I'd love to get out and engage with the community to provide spaces where they feel connection and safety and appreciation.
People want to watch those lives. Where are you on social media? How can they find you?
Yeah, you can find me at McGuire Total Wellness on Instagram. I'm on TikTok and Facebook and YouTube as well. I'm developing the curated account, but the show is called Gateway Gatherings. So if you wanna, I don't have anything posted on the social medias for Gateway Gatherings specifically, but if you want to start following for that, you can look on Instagram at Gateway Gatherings STL.
Alika, I love it, man. I just want to say, thanks again for taking the time to talk with me. It's been great. It's been informative. It's been great to get to know you too, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
We'll talk soon.
Yeah, take care, Sumo. Thanks.
That was another fun episode of Into the Unknown. I truly appreciate you taking the time to listen. And if it provides you any value or entertainment, I would love if you shared it with others, liked, subscribed, and really just help the podcast grow. Again, tell a friend, tell a foe, just anyone who might enjoy hearing some stories of people's own journeys and what got them to where they are today. Till next time.